Species of rhino have ruled Earth's grasslands for over 50 million years, aggressively defending its territory with speed, strength, and its iconic horn. It's feared by even the wild's most ominous predators. But now, there are only 5 species remaining, and because of poaching and a price on their head for over $100,000 per horn, the world's rhinos are in desperate need of help. And that's where Western Plains Zoo comes in, the home of one of the top rhino breeding programs in the world. Their care for 2 species of these giant mammals has helped us slowly rebuild Africa's white and black rhino populations. Only now they would attempt to take on their 3rd and most difficult rhino species of all, India's 3,000-pound greater one-horn. How did they do it? Will they succeed? Find out as Ultimate Zoo goes to Dubbo, Australia for Western Plains Zoo's Wild Asian Wetlands. Western Plains Zoo is a 741-acre open-range park that offers expansive natural habitats to nearly 1,500 animals. Here, visitors could drive, pedal, or hike through a 4-mile path, encountering everything from elephants, antelope, and giraffes to one of the world's largest captive populations of white and black rhinos. Launching the white rhino program in the early 70s, the zoo accommodated this largest of all rhino species with a massive 37-acre free-ranging savanna, where growing herds of the most social species could graze, breed, and brawl, just like in the wild. Then, nearly 2 decades later, the zoo took on its African cousin, the black rhino. In contrast to the white rhino, the black rhino is a smaller, solitary species that lives entirely on its own. Still, at Western Plains, their breeding has been so successful that they now have the largest number of black rhinos than anywhere in the world outside of Africa. And they've even been able to release some back into the wild. And now, with both rhino species flourishing and breeding, the zoo is taking its rhino expertise to the next level with one of the most challenging rhinos of all, Asia's greater one-horn. For Life Sciences Manager Andrew Thorne, a zoologist with a great love for rhinos, the new exhibit would be a significant step for their already famous rhino program.
We're putting our training wheels on, then normally we'll start with a white rhino, and then to build up in terms of having more expertise, then the black rhino and the Indian or the one-horn rhino is the next one that's most difficult to look after and needs the most specific care.
One of the biggest challenges of this solitary species was its unique environment. Rather than savannas, greater one-horns reign in the wetlands, where they spend their days alone, guarding their territory and grazing on water grasses. So here, to meet the needs of just one rhino, the zoo would have to carve out an entire wetland system.
The big thing of this exhibit is the water body thinking. Very unique to this exhibit compared to all of the other rhino exhibits that we have in the zoo, in that this satisfies his ultimate need to want to be in water for a large portion of his time.
Covering the majority of the 37-acre exhibit, this 1 million-gallon wetland is supported by a complex system of pumps that recirculate the water throughout the zoo's other ponds for natural filtration. Still, a greater one-horn needs more than just water. Next on the perimeter, designers added features such as logs, trees, and shade structures, as well as a 2,600 square foot night house, and an expansive heavy-duty steel frame corridor system. No stranger to rhinos, Christy Garrard had worked at the Taronga Zoo in Sydney when she got the call to head up Western Plains' newest rhino exhibit. Christy would be caring for Dora, a young 2,200-pound male who had been given as a gift to the exhibit by a zoo in Japan.
Dora's actually pretty good looking for a male rhino. He's still pretty young, so he's still got quite a lot of growing to do. He'll actually get about 6 inches taller. We'll put on probably another 300 or 400 kilos.
But while the male Dora would hopefully represent a new era in the breeding program, there was first a unique problem to deal with. Dora, the greater one-horn, had no horn. Since greater one-horns use their horn to posture females, it could potentially hinder the zoo's breeding efforts in the future. Dora wasn't the victim of poaching, but rather of obsession. While all rhinos groom their horns by rubbing them against trees and other objects, Dora's grooming had become excessive.
Well, we do have the greater one-horned rhino with no horn, and unfortunately he does rub his horn quite a lot. It could be a combination of things. Maybe it gets itchy because he does spend so much time in the water. The reason that he originally did it may not even be the case anymore. It could just be that the fact that it's a habit and he does it subconsciously now too.
With the exhibit ready to open to the public, Christy and the staff had a greater issue to deal with. If Dora continued to rub his horn, he could harm the growth plate, and any chance of Dora ever having a horn again could be lost. Coming up, tension rises as the attempts to help Dora brings new animals into the exhibit. Will Dora appreciate the company, or will he fiercely exert his rhino ways to reestablish his territory? Then, the quest to rebuild a fledgling zoo challenges the team of animal lovers with the most difficult exhibit yet, the habitat of the red panda. All next on Ultimate Zoo.